fever of willful determination sweeps through the barracks.
And welcome back to more Darkest Dungeon. This is episode 40, week 107, getting underway. Okay, and we're starting off with kind of a rare town event, at least one we've never seen before. Valiant Spirit. They were a fearsome lot, gritted teeth, distant stares, and between them, an unbreakable bond of fellowship. So we're going to get a bonus to our virtue checks for this week, plus 15% chance of being virtuous. And, you know, I'm not going to turn it down. Hopefully it won't get to that. The idea is not to get to 100 stress ever, but, you know, sometimes it happens. And if it happens this week, well, we have a better chance of being virtuous, so that's not a bad thing. Alright, to the task at hand, kill the drowned crew. So this is the third and final iteration of the haunted crew boss in the Cove. And once we're done with this, we will have wrapped up all of the champion content for the Cove. And as for our party composition, you recall this one. It even has a nickname, Holier Than Thou. It's the 3 Crusaders plus Vestal composition. And this is just one of my favorite compositions of all time for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, it looks cool, just seeing the 3, heavily armored, 2-hand sword-wielding paladins up there with their, simply robed priest behind. It's iconic and fun. And then, of course, the play style, you just have the incredible righteous fury of leapfrogging, holy lancing, smiting, paladin, crusaders, just hammering the enemy with holy vengeance. It's just epic. And, of course, the crusader having one of the highest hit point pools of any hero class, and high armor and all that. They're just a real juggernaut. They're hard to stop. They don't take a lot of damage. When they do, they bounce back. As you've seen in the past, they're a little bit slow with stress healing, this composition, because you're relying on kind of weak stress heals from the 3 Crusaders. But of course, just raw health healing is handled no problem by the Vestal. So yeah, it's just a real juggernaut of righteous fury, and it's a lot of fun to play. And if you recall, the main reason I choose this composition for this boss is that the crew is considered an unholy enemy type. And 2 of the Crusaders' attacks, the 2 main attacks that I use, Holy Lance and Smite, they both do a bonus 35% damage versus unholy enemy types. So that's why the triple Crusader composition is really effective in here against this boss. And incidentally, it's also why I decided not to wait for the Gentle Tide town event in order to get the bonus damage buff before going in and doing this boss. This composition, in contrast with last episode's composition, will have no problem getting to the boss, and even less of a problem dispatching the boss. And accordingly, I didn't feel it was necessary to wait around for the Gentle Tide town event to get that extra damage from that buff. Alright, so enough talk. We're just about ready to go. Sit back and relax, and I hope you enjoy the backstory for the drowned crew.
Prying eyes had become a nuisance along the old road, and so I undertook to receive my most curious deliveries by way of marine shipments. A sheltered jetty was accessible by a narrow stone stair off the back of the manor, and a discreet system of pulleys could hoist even the heaviest prizes up the rock face from a securely tied dinghy below. I employed a crew of particularly unsavory mariners, who for a time sailed the four corners at my behest, retrieving many valuable artifacts, relics, and rare texts. Predictably, they increased their tariffs to counter my intense stipulations of secrecy. Such resources had long been exhausted, of course, and so I prepared an alternative payment. While the greedy dogs slept off their revelry, I hexed their anchor with every twisted incantation I could muster, imbuing it with the weight of my ambition and my contempt for their crude extortion. At the witching hour, the anchor pulled with preternatural force, dragging craft and crew down into the depths. They must have cried out, but no sound escaped the swirling black waters. The poor devils, chained and drowning for eternity.
Oh yeah, another big-time backstory. I mean, pretty bad, pretty evil, but, you know, they were pirates. You could argue they got what they deserved, whatever. I'm just sticking to my guns here, Devatron. The poor little village girl and what he did to her, turning her into the siren, yeah, that's just the most evil of all, and I'm not going back on that. Alright, so here we go into the Cove. A nice, easy map. Only one room the crew can be in, and it's a fairly short run to get there, so this should be pretty quick.
The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it. Formation is broken. Maintain the offensive. Annihilated. Sedated. Press this advantage. Give them no quarter. Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
Alright, a tough first fight, Devatron. The dreaded 4X pelagic piranha. But a lucky curio in here, an eldritch altar, and Tornabut was able to remove that nasty ashen cork by purifying it with some holy water. And there, a nice lucky trap disarming.
Glittering gold, trinkets and baubles, paid for in blood. Wealth beyond measure, awarded to the brave and the foolhardy alike.
Alright, so cruising right along. Obviously, this composition isn't going to be good at disarming traps or scouting, but A, we got a lucky roll on the last trap. B, we got a lucky scouting check to start the dungeon. And C, we just found a map and the whole dungeon's now scouted, so yeah. And there, we dodged a trap. This is turning out to be a really nice lucky run.
Huddled together, furtive and vulnerable. Rats in a maze.
Okay, because I could see that there is only one more fight before the boss, I felt like it was safe to camp, so we went ahead and did it right here. Alright, so we started off by preventing a nighttime ambush, and then for our other camping skills, we're going to use two separate ones that will reduce Fitza, that First Crusader's incoming stress, and then we're also going to buff his dodge and accuracy with the Vestal's Bless ability. So if you recall, you need to have a lot of incoming stress reduction on whatever hero is in that first slot, because they're constantly getting hit with that anchor attack from the crew, and if you remember, it's kind of like they're drowning and they take a lot of stress damage from it.
The light, the promise of safety. Obliterated. As the light gains purchase, spirits are lifted, and purpose is made clear. As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms. Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
Alright, I mean, I know that was just a hallway fight, but that particular enemy composition could have gone much, much worse than that. So I was really happy to just blast through that, no problem. Alright, so another lucky trap disarming there. And look here, we find an eerie coral. If you recall, you can remove a negative quirk by purifying this with some medicinal herbs. So yeah, this has just been a fast and easy, just like luckiest run ever.
In Radiance, may we find victory.
Alright, just like that, we're to the boss, Devatron, in 8 minutes. Man, let's see how fast this boss fight goes. Let's go get the drowned crew.
Even in death, the captain shouts his orders, and the crew obeys. Sedated. Soothed. Sedated. Waits for the slightest lapse in concentration. A singular strike. eradicated. Compassion is a rarity in the fevered pitch of battle. A momentary abatement. Decimated. A decisive pummeling. Sailor's death for captain and crew. Fitting.
Ho 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 ho. Devatron, what just happened? 22 rounds, Devatron? An 18-minute boss encounter? I mean, it only took 8 minutes to get to the boss, and then it's 18 just to get through the boss itself. I mean, what just happened there, Devatron? Looks like maybe I should have gone for the Gentle Tide buff. Alright, rewards, gold, trophy, whatever. I can't deal with it at this point. Warrior of Light replacing Cove Adventurer, that's great. Wheeled Tactician replacing Cove Scrounger, who cares? Holy shit, I mean, Darkest Dungeon? The Cove? The crew is done? I mean, I'm stunned, Devatron. I have no idea what just happened, how all of that went wrong. We'll see you in the next episode.